Lacey Everett here with Minds in Motion. In order to help others, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps to build our Minds in Motion community and helps me to make more of these videos for you. It's really easy. You just click a button and you're done. You just click the subscribe button. If this video impacts you, send it to others so they can reap of the wonderful benefits as well. Today's guest is CJ, who plays women's football at a professional level in the WFA, which stands for Women's Football Alliance, and it is her 5th year in the league. She plays defense. CJ is going to bring such an extraordinary awareness for all of us into women's football. She's going to talk about the stigmas, the stereotypes. She's going to give us resources for those of you who are interested in women's football. She's going to talk you up if you're too shy to do it. She's going to give you all of the tools to not be shy anymore and get out there and play. CJ gives us tips on how to take care of your body at a professional level. CJ talks about the exciting things about women's football, how to build a really nice camaraderie with your team. She talks about the importance of encouragement and how supporting people can actually benefit your performance on the field with any sport. You are going to leave with a number of tools that CJ gives for how to properly care for your body so you can be at your peak performance at all times. We also talk about self-care and the benefits of it. CJ also discusses what it's like for a woman to play football and the differences between women's and men's football. CJ brings extraordinary awareness to women's football while also empowering women all around the world. I am so excited for you all to meet CJ. She is such a wonderful, genuine, funny person who we are so grateful to talk to today. Hey, CJ.
Hi, how are you?
I love that you're wearing your jersey. This is awesome.
Thank you.
And I am so, so grateful. I feel honored to be able to speak with you today, truly. The NFL, football, it's totally a part of the American culture. It's like one of the most popular sports. So glad that we can bring awareness towards women's football because it's just as intense.
We appreciate you for even considering doing this. So thank you as well.
Oh my goodness, of course. I could interview you all day if I could. So I thought we could start by talking about the community and what it's like for you, the women's football community, what you do.
So the team that I play for is Arlington Impact. The league is the WFA, and we are based out of Arlington, Texas. I play defense. I play defensive end and a little bit of outside and middle linebacker, depending on what schemes that we're using for which game. The thing about community is I think it's probably the most important connection in women's football. You get a lot of different women, a lot of different walks of life. Some are mothers, we're full-time employees. We do a lot of things and have a lot of differences, but we have to be able to ignore some of those differences and use some of those differences to our advantage to come together to make a cohesive unit. And so what you get to see when you start out with rookies and up until the end of the season is you get to see people building each other up. You get to see a lot of women empowerment. You get to watch people who didn't necessarily believe in themselves develop into these like badasses. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We become friends and family to where we do things outside of football, outside of the season. We attend birthdays and baby showers and weddings, and we get people job placements and we help each other move. So it becomes about these strangers that have come together to make a cohesive unit, and we get to do a lot and grow with each other and for each other. And I think that is a very beautiful aspect of women's football.
You said it wonderfully, CJ. Oh my goodness. That is a beautiful aspect of women's football. And it does seem very, very prevalent that women empowerment goes on and how you build an extraordinary camaraderie really, with all of the other people on the team. The plays you girls do, it looks so hard. And you have to have that intense fight in you. And it just sounds like to do a sport that's so hard, but constantly have encouragement around you and positive people.
Football is a very aggressive, it is a very violent sport. And there are people who come who just don't naturally have that. But because of what they're able to receive from their support system, they're able to pull it out of themselves and do it for the team, which I think is, it's another beautiful thing. But so many of the principles that we get to instill and grow within each other on the field translates off the field, with people having more confidence in their personal lives and their own personal growth. And so that's another aspect of the way that community like reinforces a real healthy mindset. So it can provide people who don't even have community, who don't have family, or who don't have a good network of friends with a support system that wasn't existing before. And that's something else that I love about it.
I love that too. And it's so good to hear.
Overwhelmingly more positive and empowering. And I think that specifically for women, or I should speak for myself, it becomes a point of the fact that it is empowerment for women who were in the place that you were in, who started out and didn't know what they were doing, or maybe they had some experience, but they improved and they got better. So it's more than just like a surface level, or more than just lip service. You're actually in it with someone who knows specifically with what you're going through, and they're there with you to see you through the end.
Wow, CJ. I can really see how this sport impacts you mentally so much. And, there's a lot of research that says 90% of the game is mental. There's a lot of arguments and controversies about that. It sounds like all of these things, like you said, really translate to life too, and help you in life become better at time management, more disciplined, more understanding of different people, because you have those different people in the team, and together you're kind of like a pack. It sounds like a pack, and you all got each other's back, and you're all empowering each other.
It is an amazing thing to be in. It gives you kind of chills when you think about it, thinking about, game day in the locker room, with the equipment. It's one of those things where everybody is kind of helping each other, putting on shoulder pads and adjusting helmet straps and all of those different things, and getting ready to go to war to speak with your sisters. The person to the left of you, the person to the right of you, they have your back through whatever. It's just a different type of feeling of security, physical security and emotional security. It's going to allow you to push beyond whatever limits you have personally, because it's not just about you, it's about everybody around you.
Wow. CJ, that was poetic. That gives me the chills. It sounds like the power of having a team that's so encouraging and kind of has your back. It sounds like it helps you to perform better.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Because you're not always going to feel like it. You're not always going to be motivated. Come mid-season, your body is going to be tired, a little beat up, regardless of how well you take care of yourself, because it is a physical sport. And the mentality of giving that extra push and, going hard on one more play and not taking a single rep off, a lot of that comes from not wanting to let your community down, because you know that they're counting on you.
This is a great tactic that people can take from, because it's proving that through kindness and compassion and camaraderie, you perform better, and you're evidence of that. And it sounds like you improve when you have that mindset of, okay, this is for someone else. This is for my team. You all need each other, of having that mindset of like, okay, I'm just going to think about this for the team. So yeah, that means doing extra push-ups, or yeah, that means doing that play over and over again, or that means X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's a motivator.
Yes. for sure.
I wanted to ask you about the stereotypes and the stigma. People, oh, I'm interviewing a women's football player. The first thing that they say is, oh, is she a lingerie football player?
First of all, it was the power of marketing with the lingerie league. That's where people's minds go to because that is what they can like visually represent in their head. But
Mhm.
also I've seen some games. They play the same way that we do. They just are not as covered as we are. They're not as protected as we are.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that we in no way disparage them as athletes.
Thank
Um,
you for saying that. Thank you for saying that, CJ.
Also, sometimes and I have no doubt that there are women who chose to do that specifically because they wanted to, but there may have not been anything else available to them. So they took what they could get. And so I want to make sure that when we talk about that we're delicate with how we handle who they are and what they have been able to accomplish. It's not any less important than what we do. So I want to make sure that we give them their just due. But I also want to acknowledge the fact that we have several female leagues that are fully padded, tackle. We play mixtures of NCAA, NFL rules, and it's a game just like the men's. And so there is a question of, well, if the marketing is there, why don't people know about it or why don't they think of it? Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, I do think that there's some gender bias there.
Mhm.
Women are, thought of being like more delicate or more fragile, or even stereotypes where they assume that if you play this, you have to be like really brutish or like mask presenting.
Mhm.
And the truth is that a wide array of types of women play this game, just like a wide array of types of men play this game. So I don't necessarily take offense when people ask me that, but I do like to let them know that like this is what exists for us and this is what we're doing. It's not
Yes.
the same.
Just simply educating them. And
Yes.
I believe that's exactly what we're doing right now. That's why I can't wait to post this. I want to stand up and give you a round of applause right now because I think what you said is really crucial. And it's really essential for people to be educated with because sometimes that's all people know and that's
Yeah.
all they have. And so they're going to do what they can. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Perspective, it's mentalization, ability to kind of have empathy and put yourself in other people's shoes and understand.
About having perspective or at least trying to understand someone else's point of view.
Mm-hmm. It's never going to hurt to be open minded. It's not going to hurt. You're not going to die from it. So might as well just try it for a sec.
Yeah, you might even change your own mind and be surprised.
How do you take care of yourself, CJ? How do you take care of yourself? Make sure that you're the best athlete you can be.
Well, there are so many aspects. I am working on being a person who has more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset. But I am not afraid to say I was very much a all or nothing person most of my life. And I had to understand and figure out the nuance of balance. So I guess I can preface that by saying I was always one of those people who like didn't miss a workout, didn't miss a practice, didn't matter how I felt, what was going on, whatever. I was like, I made a commitment, I have to be there. And while I think that's really important, even if you can't participate, there's so much you can learn by observing and just by listening to your coaches and watching the plays progress. I think that the first thing that you have to do is to take care of yourself mentally. You have to be mentally sound. So I don't know. For me, I meditate sometimes. I do positive affirmations. I check in with myself with how I'm feeling. And if I'm not feeling 100%, I do still try to give the best that I can, but I also give myself grace. I don't necessarily like beat myself up if I'm not performing at a level that I normally am, because you never know what could be going on. So once I know that I'm good mentally, then there's the physical aspect of it. You have to, you should be training for this. I train specifically, I have a personal trainer. I'm probably in the gym about 4 times a week, but not just training my body and my muscles and my cardiovascular, but also doing flexibility and mobility exercises to make sure I have proper range of motion and I'm not like overloading my muscles. And then the other physical things, I get massages. I probably get a massage once every 3 weeks, sometimes every 2 weeks, depending on what we're doing and how hard I'm pushing my body. Having a proper diet, drinking plenty of water, getting as much rest as possible, rehydrating with electrolytes. It's just a bunch of different things that go into making sure that you are mentally and physically sound to be able to give your best.
Yes, I really hope people are taking notes right now listening to that, because that was you. I'm pretty sure you hit everything. That's really important. And I did not pay her to say this. So you hit everything. And so important to not push your muscles so far so that you're just doing strengthening, like you said, importance also in flexibility and range of motion and things like that. And warming up, cooling down.
Oxygenated cells bring healing to the body. So that's like a mental exercise that I do. Also, I just talk myself up. I do this during my workouts. I do this during practice. I do this during the day. I work full time and I stand up all day and I manipulate a lot of things with my hands. So when I'm sore and I'm tired, I'll just tell myself, you got this. You only have this many hours. You've done all of this. These are amazing things to be proud of. You've done this before. This is not anything new to you. You can do it again. And then whenever I really need to rest, I'm like, well, today maybe I had something scheduled or planned, but my body is like, no, I need rest. And I give myself rest. I don't need to give myself permission or feel like I need to earn my rest. When my body tells me it's time, it's time.
Yes, the power of listening to your body. CJ, this is wonderful. Everything you're saying is so important. If your body's screaming at you, I really hope that you would listen to it.
I feel like most of these lessons I learned the hard way. It's the nature of an athlete to not listen to their body. Like you
Yes.
become accustomed to ignoring all the little aches and pains, because you have to. Like if you're physically exerting yourself and you're pushing as hard as you can, it's going to cause pain. It's going to cause discomfort. But you just have to like tap in with yourself and understand when too much is too much.
Yes, it's hard to even notice that sometimes. And for you, CJ, to even notice that, hey, this is what happens to me when I get stressed. I think it would be a great lesson for people to take away from, just to notice, understand your triggers.
I've learned a lot from crashing and burning and being like, wait, I probably should have took the rest day instead of saying, I made this commitment. Let me do this. I've been working hard for a certain set of days. And if a day comes and it's more than just like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this. It's more like every single part of me is saying no. And I can't even wrap my mind around getting out the bed. It's like, okay, now it's time to do some recovery.
Yes. Thank you for listening to your body. That's probably why, CJ, you're such an extraordinary athlete and human, because we get burnt out. We have to recharge.
It's good to take in consideration that like we are part of a grind culture that says go go go, and certain people they just may not have the resources to be able to take a break as well. Some people may have never had that luxury or that privilege, like they had to do this or something else worse would happen. But if you're at a point where that's not your story and where you're just doing it like out of repetition and you're doing it because that's what you're used to. Allow yourself to rest and see how, how that will improve your quality of life.
Yes, and thank you for saying that too. If that's not your story, then do what you can,
Yeah,
you
do the
know?
best you can.
Yeah, and it's really, really common for it to not be people's stories
Yeah,
and
I
to
think
not
so
have that
too.
privilege. It's really
Yeah,
common. So it's important to just notice what works for you, right? And what works for your days.
yeah.
Even if it's something as simple as just inhale, exhale for a sec. I wanted to ask about the differences so people can gain more awareness, the differences between women's and men's football.
Um, well, I think obviously the most notable difference is pay, right? We're not paid. We actually pay for this. We have fees that we pay, and that is pretty much, well, in the league that I play in, that's determined by your team owner, how much that is. But when you think about it, we have our personal equipment that we have, our protective equipment, we have our uniforms, we have to pay for our stadiums, we have to have refs, and those refs have to have certain certifications so that kind of everyone's on the same page. So we have to pay for that as well. And the stadiums that we use are typically they I mean, if you're fortunate enough, it may be college, but most of them are high school stadiums. So we, rent from them when they're not having events. And then there are travel fees. Some teams may take, buses to travel. There are certain, our our team will have to fly to Minnesota. And our league is really good about trying to keep us regional and within the same like level of competition between the teams, but that just doesn't always work out because we're all across the US. So those are some of the things that we have to pay for. And like I said, the training, maybe your team has a trainer and that's part of your fees. If not, you're paying for that on your own. All of the recovery things that you may do, whether you go get a massage, you get cryo, or anything like that, acupuncture, all of that stuff, that's something that you're paying for. Uh, I think that there are several women's leagues. And in order for us to be able to like get paid, there'll need to be a lot of changes. I think eventually we'll just have to have one league.
Wow, CJ. And while the men, the NFL, they're making millions.
I also understand though that those players, they are the top of the top, right?
Mhm.
From all over the world, not just here in America.
Mhm.
No, they come from all over the world,
And they've
and
worked so hard too. They've worked so hard.
they definitely have earned and deserve it, and it is their job. And that's another thing. This is because we don't get paid and because we pay for all of these things, it can't be our job. So we have full-time jobs, part-time jobs, maybe stay-at-home moms, or however it works out. But we have that in addition to this.
Do this.
And I've seen, I've seen interviews, and I'm sure, other people have too, where the NFL players will talk about training camp, and you can see like watch them going to training camp, Hard Knocks, things like that, right? Uh, Another thing that I think about is how a lot of them who have families, they thank their wives. They're very like grateful to their wives for being the primary caregiver for their children for the majority of the time that they're in training camp and they're traveling and playing and all of those things. And that's not a luxury that the moms of the leagues have. So not
No.
only are they working full time and they're doing the sport, but they're also the primary caregivers of their children. They're doing homework and they're doing doctor's appointments, and I mean, just generally being a parent.
Mhm.
which is to be expected, but it is another added layer of responsibility on top of dedicating your time to this, which takes a large amount of your time.
It
If you
does.
do train properly, the time that you're gone for practice, the time that you're gone for the games, and then football doesn't just happen on the field. Outside of it, you're having Zoom meetings, you're doing film studies, you're working on the things that you individually need, the skills that you need to get up to par. So there is a lot of work that women are putting in to present, because that's what we're doing as athletes. When we show up and we have fans in the stand, we're presenting our best athletic ability. It is
Mhm.
entertainment.
Mhm.
And so I think that the barriers that women face do make it harder for us to be able to like put forth a, um, I guess, to put more energy into what we're able to do, because that's not the only thing that we get to focus on, or the primary thing, primary the sorry, the primary thing that we get to focus on. And still women do a hell of a job. Still, you go out and you see quality football games, athletes, and that is what they're working with outside of that. So I'm very, very proud of all the women who play.
That is huge. I am proud too. I am proud just to interview you right now. You are all doing a million and one things on top of playing at a professional level. Talk about multitasking pros. That is huge. And what you say, how you describe it, it sounds like the duties of what a full time job would be like. And it's so interesting to me that you don't get paid. It almost makes me want to present a life mission of making sure women's football gets paid. Like this, I mean, obviously you all deserve it so much. And I know it's the way it is. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is right now. And I think with more awareness, things will look up.
I look at it as laying the foundation. The things that we have now, you see a lot of women being coaches in the NFL. That's not like a PR thing, right? Those women have years in the game as players, top athletes, in fact, in the game, winning championships in their league, winning U.S. women's national championships, um, very much spots that are earned. And
Mhm.
they didn't get what we're getting now as players. They didn't get, games broadcasted on ESPN or live streamed through apps. They didn't get the
Yeah.
type of notoriety that we're getting now. There is much more awareness than it used to be. So they laid a foundation for us, and it is our job to now lay a foundation for the girls and the young women who are coming after us to have better than what we have. I do believe eventually it will happen. I can't say when, but I know that as long as you have women who love this game purely for the sport of it, they're going to make sure that when they can no longer play, that they're involved in football in such a way of building women's football to where it will get to that.
Yes. DJ, from the heart, truly, truly. This is really, really nice to hear. Thank you to those women who
Right.
laid that foundation. And thank you to you who's growing it.
We love the game so much. We know that it's what comes with the territory right now. And those are the sacrifices that we're willing to make and that we're able to make.
So, CJ, I know this is really important to you and important to a lot of people who want to maybe do it or are thinking about it but don't know how, or want to get into it but are too shy. So, I thought you'd be a perfect role model to speak on that.
Okay, so the first thing that I would say is to look up women's football in your state, specifically if you want to play tackle, We have the WNFC and we have the WFA, which is the league that I play for. You can go to either one of those websites and you can look up the team that's in your state and reach out to a representative from that team. Um, I think that it's important for people to understand, especially the women who are considering it, that you can come as you are and the team will help you develop. They will give you the tools that you need, they will encourage you and build you up. Um, and they'll just show you the ropes. Everybody will make you feel comfortable and they will get you up to speed. So if you are worried or concerned that you don't know enough about football or that you're not athletic enough, that's where the women empowerment comes in. If you're willing to do the work and make the sacrifices that you need to make, you will be able to do this.
Perfect. If you're willing to do the work. And it's just like, I just thought it's just like what we were talking about earlier about being open-minded. And I think there's a lot of pressure to be perfect all the time. And if we're joining a team, we're not the best, and that's okay. And we're not supposed to be because we're learning.
Yeah.
That's why we join a team. That's why we go to school, because we're not supposed to really ace the tests yet. We're still learning. So I think that's important. Like you said, don't beat yourself up if it doesn't go perfectly right away.
How you handle your mistake. If you can absorb the criticism and improve, then that's all anybody else can ask for you. But if you are a person who cannot handle criticism well, and if you fall apart, and if you beat yourself up and you just are like, I can't do it, and you have a real defeatist mindset, it's going to be hard because you will make mistakes. You don't have to worry about if you're going to make them. You are going to make them, but you're one of 11 and other people are going to make mistakes. Coaches are going to make coaching errors. It's not about being perfect. It's about how do you do what you do correctly, and then how do you bounce back from the way you've made mistakes to correct them afterwards.
Yes. And resiliency. It's like building your mental toughness to play in an extraordinary way in your sport.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're not supposed to know everything right away. No. And mistakes are amazing because how else do we improve? We have to make mistakes. And we need the criticism.
Never stop learning. Whatever you think you know about the game, there's always a next level. There's always an achievement. And for some people that might be intimidating, but for me, like, I love that. I love the fact that I can feel like I'm on top of the world and then I get humbled really quick and then I have to ask my coach. So about that play where I made that mistake, what could I have done differently, or what should I have done? What didn't I do? And then I'm like, okay, bet, got it. Next time I'm on it.
And this is why she is the best, everyone. This is why CJ is great at her sport, because she does this.
One woman who may be watching, or if you know a woman who wants to play, there are international partnerships. I know there's an international partnership with the WFA. So if you're not based out of America, but you want to get into this, or you've been interested in this, whether it's as a player or as a coach, there's also avenues for you as well.
Perfect. More the merrier. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunities for this.
Yes. If you just want to be involved, if you're just excited about women's football and you're like, the playing thing is not really for me, there may be other things you can do. Teams always need managers. We need people to move the sticks. Maybe you want to be a ref. Maybe you want to help with marketing a team. Maybe you have skills in that area. Your skills can always be utilized. And in order to continue to build and grow this sport for women and to make it the best that it can be, we're going to need more than just coaches and players. So if you're interested and you want to get involved, there are ways that you can do that as well.
Wonderful. Everyone has an important role in the women's football community. For sure. This was truly, really wonderful.
I'm glad that we could talk and we could, discuss some of the issues with women's football and bring some more awareness and notoriety to it. And hopefully, if there are women out there who have seen the different advertisements and things like that, and they think that it might be something that they would enjoy or they always wanted to do, but they haven't necessarily like gotten the courage to seek it out. Hopefully, it will encourage them that you don't have to come with the knowledge. You're going to go to a team that has it, that will imbibe you with that knowledge, that will build you up. Wherever your weaknesses are, they will get you strong. Hopefully it brings more women who love the game to the game, and it gives them something to like strive for and reach for.
Yes. Well said, CJ. Absolutely. We don't just have to be the scorekeepers or the cheerleaders we can actually play. We can play.
Yeah, we can do
So
everything. We can do it all.
we can do it all. Yes, we can. And it sounds like because it's such a supportive environment too. Thank you so much, CJ. And I'm wishing you the absolute best.
Appreciate
Oh,
it.
yes. You will thrive. You will keep thriving.
Thank you.